Coming up on Mountain News at 6, flood survivors still living in travel trailers are now facing a different challenge: life-threatening cold temperatures. And as those temps stay below freezing for the next several days, slick spots will be likely on roads through the Christmas weekend.
There's no other way to slice it. It is dangerously cold outside and only getting colder through tonight. The very latest on the way is Mountain News at 6 starts right now.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Bitter cold air continues through your Christmas holiday weekend. Let's head over to meteorologist Evan Hatter with the very latest on this first alert weather day. Evan.
Well, that's right, Steve. We have seen temperatures remaining consistent since I got in the building about 5 hours ago. Temperatures have not moved. They remain around zero for most. In fact, here in Perry County, we're at zero. Feels like 19 below, though, thanks to those west-southwest winds at 14. Westerly winds at 13 make that -1 in London feel also like 19 below, and you can see the light coating of snow on many surfaces. Many of us within a degree or two of zero right now. Jacksboro, warm at 3. We still have plenty of cold air around with those wind chills, 15 to 20 below in many spots. And while the winds are going to slack off at least a little bit over the next couple of days, it's still this cold air mass is going to stay in place. Clouds moving out in many spots. That's going to help us cool down for some overnight. So getting down through the evening, well, we're staying in the single digits down into, well, we're there. As a matter of fact, and those clouds will be off and on through the night. Details on when we return to some at least somewhat warmer conditions in a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. A lot of flood survivors are still living in travel trailers almost 5 months after the devastating flood, and some are saying this Arctic blast is the scariest event they have faced since that flood. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox talked with flood survivors who are bundled up fighting cold temperatures in their trailers.
The sun has been shining at times, but it might as well just be a painting in the sky with these freezing temperatures.
I have my heat set on 84, and it still says it's 59 in here.
The thin walls on travel trailers are only doing so much to keep flood survivors protected from frigid wind gusts. And that is with electricity still working.
The electricity goes out, we have no heat. We've got propane heat, but the blower is electric. So if we lose electricity, we've got no heat.
Some are already facing that harsh reality as maintenance workers are using heat guns to try warming up heat pumps and water pipes. Just packing up and finding a warmer place is not as simple as it sounds.
We can't leave. If we could leave, we wouldn't be here, you know, if we had somewhere else to go.
In what looks and feels physically like an Arctic desert, some survivors also feel mentally deserted.
It feels like we've been forgot a lot. Most people I talk to don't even know these campers are up here. So it's kind of like to most people, life has went back to normal, but there's no normal for us.
In already tough circumstances, external pressures continue mounting. In Prairie County, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
Flood survivors also say Christmas this year feels sort of postponed, as some have not been able to get presents ready for Sunday. People in Pulaski County are also dealing with these bone-chilling temperatures. Emergency management officials reported no major issues throughout most of the daytime hours, but 2 warming centers were open in the county. By this afternoon, a handful of people took advantage of the shelter at New Life Church in Ferguson. Shelter officials and volunteers want others to know that they are welcome.
You know, even if you're homeless, but if you're at home and your electric goes out or what have you, and I mean, just, you know, if you lose your heat right now, I mean, even if you get it back, it's going to take hours to be able to warm your house back up, you know.
The shelter also offers donated meals and snacks. Emergency management officials say the best advice is to just stay home tonight and stay off the roads. You can stay weather aware with the WYMT First Alert weather app. You can scan this QR code to download or search for it in your app store. It gives you the latest weather alerts and radar. It works with cellular data if you lose power and Wi-Fi. The Corbin Fire Department responded to a house fire early this morning. Firefighters say 2 people were inside the home, but they made it out safely. The home was damaged by heat and smoke. The cause is still under investigation. As the cold causes concern for folks around the region, county officials are trying to offer a little warmth. Warming centers have been established throughout the state, offering a shelter from the Arctic blast, but officials say those facilities in some places have not seen a high number of visitors. Pike County officials say the road conditions or other factors may play a role, encouraging everyone to keep an eye on those around them.
A lot of people shelter in place. They stay with friends, family. So, you know, if you can do that, just make sure to check on your neighbors and your family to make sure that they're safe and that they have what they need to be able to make it.
Pike County still has several warming stations operating for those in need. You can find a list of shelters from across the region on our website. Santa is not the only one working long hours this weekend. Utility crews are battling the biting cold, working to power up the region. WYMT's Buddy Forbes spoke to Kentucky Power representatives about the reconnection efforts.
The dreadful temperatures have many people a little drained.
Recognizing how difficult it is to be out of power in general, much less during the holiday weekend when families are gathering and everybody wants to be at home.
As line workers at Kentucky Power try to bring back a little light before Christmas.
They've been out since early this morning, getting as many customers restored as possible, and they'll continue to work through this weekend.
With the icy winds and snow-covered lines causing hundreds of outages.
Of course, we know the conditions are extremely cold, and all the precautions are being taken to make sure that the linemen are staying safe in regards to hypothermia and frostbite. Those are 2 very real concerns that we have for our linemen and for anyone who has to be out in the weather.
Officials say crews are doing what they can to get things flowing again just in time for the festive weekend.
We have to make sure that it's safe for the linemen to go and do their jobs.
Working against the wind and the winter woes.
So we're keeping a close eye on that and hoping for the best at this point.
To heat up the holidays. In Pikeville, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Representatives say customer communication is important in keeping up with the outages, encouraging everyone to download the Kentucky Power app to report and track any issues. At last check, there were more than 5,000 customers without power across Kentucky, and that's down significantly from earlier in the day. Governor Andy Beshear updated Kentuckians earlier on the state's response to the winter weather. The governor says there have been at least 3 weather-related deaths in Kentucky. He is still urging everyone to stay inside and says with winds still gusting, frostbite could happen within 20 to 30 minutes. The governor also asked Kentuckians to still stay off the roads.
Stay off the roads. You're going to hear of a number of backups that are occurring. While we think we treated the roads very well, the fact that we have gusty winds of 40 to 50 miles an hour can create blizzard-like conditions very quickly.
Kentucky is still under a state of emergency. The governor signed that emergency order on Wednesday. One Southern Kentucky ambulance service is warning drivers about the dangerous road conditions. A crew was making their way back from Lexington to London after dropping off a patient when the ambulance hit a slick spot on the interstate and crashed. The good news, officials say no one was injured, but they urge you to use caution if you have to be on the roads. Temperatures began really dropping early this morning, causing slick conditions quickly on the roads from west to east right before a busy holiday weekend. WYMT's Keaton Hall was up early checking things out in Hazard.
Early Friday morning, temperatures plummeted, sending eastern Kentucky into a deep freeze.
And temperature drop within 3 to 4 hours. It goes from 45 degrees to 5 degrees, so you know it's just like a flash freeze.
With temperatures in the single digits, a sheet of ice formed on the road, halting traffic right before Christmas weekend. Multiple crashes were reported on I-75 in Laurel County in the early hours of Friday morning.
It happens so quick, it's hard to handle. There's not a terrible lot of snow on top of the ice, so you know, and it just kind of iced up over real quick.
Officials with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet are asking folks to only travel when absolutely necessary, saying it's so cold that road treatments have little effect on the ice.
And it's hard to do anything, like I say, where solid, even calcium has a hard time trying to work in temperatures like this, it's kind of tough, it really is, but we're out, we got trucks out going.
And blowing winds are contributing to low visibility and increasing the chance of refreezing.
Just hope that the power stays on and stuff, because there's quite a bit of wind, and AEP's out working wide open, and the Asplunda boys are with them, and it's kind of a whole team effort all the way across the board.
Working to keep Kentuckians safe during the coldest air we've seen in years. In Hazard, Keaton Hall, WYMT Mountain News.
KYTC officials recommend if you have to leave your house to leave early, drive slow, and leave plenty of space between you and other cars.
Well, coming up, I have temperatures above freezing in my 7-day forecast, but it's going to take a bit to get there. The breakdown coming up after this. Then
we'll sit down with the first family of Kentucky as they prepare to celebrate Christmas.
WYMT News app offers